Hello there. Got something pretty cool today. So at the beginning of this week, I had a friend over for dinner, and something that he showed me, I thought was really cool. It's this free tool called Optimum Lap, and it's by a really great company by the name of Optimum G. So um, Optimum G is a really cool company in the area of vehicle dynamics. They provide a bunch of services. So first of all, I have no association with them, but I do recall reading some of their free articles back in the day, and I had no idea that this Optimum Lap software is free, but it is, and yeah, I'll show you some of the things that you can do with it, which is pretty cool. So if you want to use it, it is unfortunately only Windows based. But if you go on their website, go to Get Started, put in your email address, um, and then they will send you a email with a password, for your license. So you download the software, you install it, and then once you start it, you will see something like this. So initially, you won't have anything. So yeah, let me actually close this so you see what you'll normally see. So this will be the typical starting screen. You will have to do a new project or open a template project. In my case, I just did a new project. Um, and the cool thing is you can go to their website to download a bunch of vehicles. So here are a bunch of vehicles that maybe other people have created. It might be that Optimum G created these vehicles, or maybe their users created these vehicles. But there's a bunch, road cars as well as race cars, and in terms of racetracks, you can also browse. So there's a really long list of racetracks that you can browse. So there's 11. So if you see one that you want to download, you just click on it, and then you can save it. So I'm not gonna do that now, but I downloaded a few vehicles and I downloaded a few tracks. So then once you've downloaded it somewhere on your desktop, you can import it. So I created a few modifications based on the standard um, 2007 BMW M3 that you can download from the Optimum G website. I also downloaded a few others, but so you download that, and then if you click on one of those and say open, it'll show up in the list here. The same thing for the tracks. So you can just, after downloading, you just do import, and then it'll show up. So once you've done that, you go to simulation, and then you simulate. So what we're going to do now, so let me show you what I did first. So this is the baseline vehicle. So I started from the 2007 BMW M3 that you can download from the Optimum G website. I looked through the numbers in here. So actually, let me do that just to show you what I mean. So you see this vehicle now shows up. So if you look through this, you can change all of these stuff. And the nice thing is it's not too many things. So I think for most cars, you can probably look up most of this data. So the mass, 1,611 kilograms. This seems roughly what you would expect for a M3. The drag coefficient, I'm pretty sure you can look this up. the downforce coefficient is a negative number, meaning that it doesn't generate downforce but has a small amount of lift. I don't know if this number is completely accurate, but I believe, it might be that you can look this up. Downforce or lift numbers can sometimes be found online for different vehicles. So front area, this kind of info should be possible to find. 1.8 square meters. That probably the rough size of a regular sedan. Tire radius. This you can calculate from the side of the tire. And so this was what I noticed is probably not right for a standard vehicle. Longitudinal friction and lateral friction 1.2. This is what you would probably expect for like a semi-slick track tire. I think for just a regular street tire you might see 0.95 or something. So that's the thing that I changed here. So I didn't change anything else. I just reduced the friction numbers down to 0.95, which to me seemed more realistic for a street vehicle. I didn't touch any of the gear ratios. Transmission type, it seems like there's only two types. There's either sequential gearbox or constantly variable transmission. And so I'm guessing for most cars you would want to choose sequential gearbox. I'm guessing with the constantly variable transmission, the simulation is just going to have the engine sitting at the peak power and just vary the gearing to get the optimum acceleration. Besides that, final drive ratio, this information is also available online for most cars. Drive efficiency, 95% seems kind of high. Maybe 90% is more realistic, but who knows? I didn't mess with that. And then some cool things: power factor, grip factor, aero factor. So this is where you can increase the power or downforce or grip of a vehicle if you wanted to. I left these at 100% for the street tires. So some of the experiments I did. So this is just the variants I did here was to try and show you how you can use this OptimumLap software to simulate the possible lap time improvements you can get by just installing some popular mods for your car. So these are some quite typical ones. So quite often people would install shorter final drives. I know my E46 M3 Compact had a shorter final drive. So in this case, for this one, I changed the final drive ratio to 4.1, so the car will go through the gears quicker. This was an interesting one, superchargers. So superchargers do exist for the E90 or E92 M3. They typically increase the power output by significant margin, something like 50%. And so that's what I did here. I put the power factor to 150, but I left the tire friction the same. The next one, semi-slicks. So this one is with the standard power, but I changed the lateral friction to 1.2. Longitudinal, I left. Well, I put a 1. The reason I did this was because I wanted to check what the effect would be from a big brake kit. What I noticed with my own cars was that sometimes if I didn't upgrade the brakes, the grip I could or the deceleration I could generate in braking was oftentimes actually less than the G's that I could pull in the corners, and so that is the next one. So like imagine you Got rid of the standard single piston front calipers that come on the M3 and replaced it with some, good big braking kit. And then as the next step, I tried, big braking kit and aero. So whereas previously it was minus 0.1, I made this positive 0.1. But I must say, like on the aero front, I would need to spend more time to actually figure out what this number really should be. But it was an interesting test nonetheless. And then for the next one, I did all of these. So instead of aero, I did supercharger. So this is with the 1.2 number as longitudinal and lateral friction. Original final drive, but power factor 150. So you see the car power number goes all the way up to 610 horsepower, which seems to be what's the advertised amount of power for some of these supercharger kits. So now I'm gonna delete the original one, the original file, and then let's simulate. So we can go to simulation. Simulate, select all of the cars. Let's try circuit Zolder. It's a track in Belgium. That's pretty fun. I did a bunch of laps in my E46 M3 Compact. So simulate. Let's see what comes out. Okay, so after doing that, it gives you the result of all of these different options. So the baseline M3 on the street tires is a 2-minute lap, so 120 seconds, 0.76. And interestingly, you will see that if you just do the shorter final drive, it doesn't actually bring you anything. It only this is kind of surprising. I was thinking, Zolder being a relatively slow track with a lot of stop and go, maybe this shorter final drive will help. But actually, what the simulation is saying is that no, it only gives you 0.2 of a second. So then the next one, street tires plus supercharger. This is also surprisingly low value for money. So one of these supercharger kits might cost $8,000 dollars or euros, excluding installation fee and remapping fee and all that. But all it gets you is a measly 1 second over a 2-minute lap, which is really not very good value for money. And so then we go to M3, but going to semi-slick. So this is the one where we simply increase the lateral friction to 1.2, and this gives you a whopping 9 seconds of lap time. So by doing that, we've dropped down all the way to 1 minute 51.77. So that is excellent value for money, because a set of tires, the tires on track days are a consumable anyway. So just by using the stickier tires, you're improving the lap time massively. Way better value for money than the supercharger or the final drive. And the next one is semi-slicks plus big braking kit. This gave a improvement of about 2 seconds. Also pretty good. And then the next one. So now we're already down into the 1 minute 49. So below 1 minute 50. Playing with the aero, that didn't seem to bring all that much. And the next one is semi-slicks, big braking kit, and a supercharger. Now this is interesting. So if you look at this, it improves on the Semi-Slick Plus Big Braking Kit by 2.5 seconds, whereas with the base vehicle, with the street tires, it only improved it by 1. So that's interesting. So it's but it does make sense. So what it's saying is that when the vehicle was still on street tires, it couldn't really make use of the added power. But once you add the increased, improved grip from the semi-slick tires, then you can actually start making use of the supercharger's extra additional power. But still, it's relatively modest gains compared to that whopping 9-second improvement from the semi-slick tires. So if you're thinking about it that way, if you're thinking about value for money, it's quite obvious. Better tires are worth a lot more lap time than the supercharger. But then we can also start doing some other stuff. So let's simulate a different track. So let's simulate not Zolder but Nordschleife, because my theory is that the big braking kit might not actually give you as much value for money on the Nurburgring as compared to Zolder. So let's see if that is actually the case. Okay, so Nurburgring. Do we see the same picture? So Nordschleife 24 hours, a 10-minute 44 lap. Remember, this is the 24-hour layout, so it's not just Nordschleife but also the Grand Prix track added on top of it. That's why it's a lap time that's almost 11 minutes long. And we see a similar trend in terms of the shorter final drive. Basically, it's kind of worthless for lap time at Nürburgring. It helps a little bit, but for the amount of effort to install it and so on is not great value for money. So here also, oh, interesting. So it gives about 8 seconds in terms of lap time, going from 400 to 600 horsepower. Thinking about that, that's actually not that impressive, right? So it's a similar picture, but is that a similar percentage? So let's see. On Zolder, it was 120, 76. So at Zolder it was less than 1% difference, but maybe Nürburgring being higher speed might be more power sensitive. Let's see, 3, 6, 3, 3 by 6, 44, 8, 5. Yes, indeed. So where at Circuit Zolder, which was relatively low speed, the benefit was roughly 0.8%. At the Nürburgring, the benefit is 1.25%. So yeah, about 50% higher. I mean, like 1.25 is roughly 50% higher than 0.8%. Okay, so let's keep going. Semi-slick tires. Oh, this is a similar picture where it brings a massive benefit. Big braking kit. Oh, okay, so this does actually bring quite a bit. 587, let's see, 587, 64. I must say, the big braking kit has provided a larger benefit than I expected. 595.66. So it's given a 1.35% benefit. I was expecting Zolder to, I was expecting the difference from the big braking kit to be less than the difference it made at Zolder, like percentage-wise, because Zolder is very hard braking-wise, whereas at the Nurburgring, I would say it's a relatively easy track brakes-wise. But yeah, let's see. So 109 point 65 divided by 111.77. Okay, yeah. So it did make a larger difference at Zolder at 1.9% improvement, whereas at Nurburgring it was only 1.3%. But even so, it's still kind of higher than I expected at the Nurburgring. Okay, let's dig into that a little bit later. And then Aero might be that it provides a slightly larger benefit at Nurburgring than at Zolder. Let's see. So at Zolder, Aero was 109.09 divided 109.65. Oh, crap, messed up. 109.09 divided 109.65. Slightly, yeah, roughly 0.5% difference, whereas at Nurburgring 583.74 divided by 587.64. Yeah, so Aero seems to work better at the Nurburgring. I mean, it has a bigger benefit at the Nurburgring at Zolder, which makes sense because the Nurburgring is a higher average speed track than Zolder. And finally, supercharger. Whereas at Zolder, 107.09 divided by 109.65. So the supercharger, once you had the big brake kit and the semi-slicks, at Zolder made a 2.3 something, 34 or 33. 3, is that right? 2.33% difference. 2.33% improvement at the Nurburgring. It made provide a benefit of 64. 2.6. Okay. So it is, slightly better value for money at the Nurburgring, relatively speaking. But not as big a difference as I thought. But it still shows the fact that different tracks have different sensitivities. But overall, the shorter final drive is just not good value for money, it seems, at least for the E90 M3. But yeah, let's dig a little bit deeper into let's dig a little deeper into the thing with the big brake kit, because that was a little bit surprising. Okay, yeah, it's a bit too many. Wait, so I need to get rid of a bunch of these. Damn it. I only need those two. So bear with me while I remove a bunch of these. Getting rid of all the Nurburgring. Okay. Okay, so this is M3 with semi-slicks versus M3 with semi-slicks and big braking kit. So what we're able to see is that with the big braking kit, the car has reached higher top speeds and is able to brake, I guess later. So being able to brake later makes sense, but reaching higher top speeds doesn't. So why is that? And also, it seems like it's able to accelerate faster as well, which doesn't make sense. Why is that? Oh, I know. Okay. Right. Okay. I think. Yeah. I know what happened. Right. So this is where it went wrong. Where I put semi-slicks, longitudinal friction 1G. So it seems like the 1G is also helping in acceleration, which makes sense. So yeah, what it is showing is that the yeah, unfortunately I'm not able to distinguish between longitudinal friction in acceleration and in deceleration, and as a result in terms of acceleration it is helping as well, which is why I think that is also why for Nurburgring the big braking kit, or big braking kit when in reality is big braking kit and low speed grip. Oh, okay, I know. I should change the name of that to not just BBK but LSD, better limited slip differential. So yeah. So you have to imagine like the faster acceleration is also from having better traction out of the slow corners. So yeah, with how the software is set up, that you're not able to distinguish between between braking and acceleration. It's hard to distinguish between the two. But it does mean I have to rename these. I think those of you familiar with the M3 will say, oh yeah, but the standard car has a limit slip differential. It's definitely true. So you have to kind of imagine that it's either a car with an open differential going to one with a limited slip differential, or you're going from the factory limited slip differential to something significantly better, something like a Drexler or something like that. So I'm pretty impressed with the software. I mean, it is free after all. It gives you actually quite a lot of useful info. I only started playing with it about an hour ago, and from how the vehicle is modeled, it doesn't take a lot of input parameters, and the thing is, I think most of these you can just find online, which is really cool. And from what I could see, you could convert your own data from a certain track to a track map for this software to to do the simulation on, which is pretty cool. And another feature I didn't yet discuss was the batch run. So I believe with this one you can even sweep, different different parameters, such as vehicle mass. So what this means is like you can see how sensitive the lap time is to changing the mass of the vehicle. So this would be like if you imagine you were removing able to do some weight reduction on your vehicle. But the thing is, you can do this for all of the different parameters that we looked at, which is really cool. What else? So something that isn't clear to me yet is whether the software is able to distinguish between the vertical elevation of the track, because especially for tracks like Nurburgring, but also say Spa-Francorchamps, there are significant elevation changes, and when there's an elevation change, that has an effect on the maximum amount of longitudinal lateral acceleration you can generate. So as the example I could use is, say, Eau Rouge, where going through that compression, the topology of the track is helping the vehicle, like, push the vehicle into the ground, and through that compression, the right-hander, you can generate a lot higher lateral acceleration than at the top of the hump when you're like going over the brow. As you're going over the brow, the car gets light, and therefore you cannot generate as much lateral acceleration. It's not clear whether the software is able to distinguish that. I will have to do some further digging into that. But even if it wasn't, and even if even if the simulation is purely based on like an imaginary perfectly flat surface with just the track layout from these different tracks, it would still be super useful. And I think some of the things you could do to get better correlation for your own cars. So imagine if you had some data, like simple data logging going on. Even as simple as just say Harry's lap timer on your mobile phone running. You can from that check your maximum longitudinal lateral accelerations, and from that you can improve on the initial numbers that are in here. And if you've got, say, a dyno graph from your car, you can put that in here to correct what is in here. From memory, I do recall a Z4M Coupe I had many years ago had a significantly different dyno graph than the official one. It had way more torque down low, but had lower peak horsepower. So things like this you can correct for in this interface. And yeah, so I think maybe in a future video I'll see if I can recreate my current car, the 981 Cayman S, to see how easy that is or not. But certainly very impressed with this program, and hopefully it's helpful for you as well in evaluating what kind of modifications you want to do to your track car. Yeah, hope it was interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and till next time.